All right, welcome back. Now it's time for us to get into the news review segment, a segment that is interactive, and so we want to hear from you as we have our conversations. Kindly use the WhatsApp line 0204-447-033 for us to hear what you're thinking. Now, my guests are already seated in studio, but I'll introduce them shortly. Let me just walk you through a few of the topics that we'll be looking at this morning. The 2024 elections, we have EC announces a live broadcast of IPAC meeting today. We'll be delving a little bit into that story. Of course, today at 9:30, we're expecting to go live to the EC right here on ChannelOne TV. So stay with us. Saglame Housing Unit, government to hand over abandoned projects to private developer in 2 weeks. Okay, and hike in utility tariffs. We have the electricity is going up by 3.02% and water increases by 1.86% today. All right, my guests are here, and we're going to be delving into the stories. So let me introduce to you Elvis Darko. He is the editor of the News Center newspaper, and Larry Alans Dogbe. He is the managing editor for the Herald newspaper. Gentlemen, you are welcome.
Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm not that well. I have some cold, but I'm fine.
But you are fine. You'll be okay. Yeah. Larry, how about you?
I'm okay.
You're good?
I'm happy to see Elvis back.
Yeah. It's good to have him back.
Sure.
It's good to have him back.
It looked like he wasn't coming back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, exigencies of our times.
Until, we met at a program where he gave he broke some news. Yeah, he broke some news, exactly. And everybody was like, oh, okay. Shortly after that came the news center. The paper looks good.
Yeah.
Good. And knowing him for who he is, I think that he's up to it.
Yeah.
Larry is a veteran in the business, so I will learn from him so much more. Owning the paper it's not easy in this country. So since I have him around, well, definitely I will need his support more advice and what to tell you. It's a crazy field. To say you own it, finance it, make sure it comes out. Yeah. It's not easy.
Strangely, people don't see this as a business.
They don't?
They see media as a CSO.
Yeah, as a CSO, they don't.
Yeah. I guess you're offering a certain service to society, so it's seen more from that angle as opposed to having to run it as a business.
Yes, but the problem is when media started, they are largely owned by the state, so they are financed by the state.
Yes.
But with the emergence of private media, everything is financed by whoever.
It has to be run as a business.
But then about half of the work, or more than half of the work you do, is talking about what the state is to be doing. You are supposed to be educating the public on all kinds of things freely. So the question is,
support.
If we are talking about journalism, and we are talking about public interest journalism, nobody is talking about the question of who should fund it. If it's being done by the state, it's funded by the state.
Yes.
But when it's being done by private enterprise, the question is who funds it. For the 2-3 weeks now, City and ChannelOne have dedicated so much space of their airtime for Galamsey. People are enjoying the discussion. But the question they are not asking themselves, all this airtime that being dedicated to this, who is paying for it? Okay? They are happy that you're offering a service, but they don't ask themselves, but how are they paying themselves for all these things? The last time I spoke to the engineer here, he was talking about just satellite connection for the television. The amount he mentioned in dollars, I'm like, seriously? He said, my brother, it's not easy. Paying for satellite connection, it's not easy. But somebody is in a remote area and they will put on the DSTV and the city is clear over there. But the cost to be able to make that happen. And this is the problem we have in Ghana. Everybody says the media is not doing enough. But nobody is talking about who is financing the work of the media. Where is the source of funding?
Thank you. That's it.
Because we are not funded by the state.
No.
The ones that are funded by them, we know. But for the private media, every peso that you spend needs to come from your pocket. So the public needs to be thinking, are we really being fair to the media? Because we don't give them any money. And we don't know how they get their money. We are in an economy where businesses tell us that it's difficult to survive, so there's no advert budget. They don't have money to advertise. The state is not advertising to even pay you anything. When they have advert, they send it to the state-owned media.
Of course.
So people should begin to ask themselves, How are even the owners and the journalists who work there being paid? How are they surviving? If all that they are doing is not being financed by anybody, not the state or your taxpayers' money is not there. But what your taxpayers not paying for, you are saying that thing should serve you. I should serve you when you are not paying for my services. You understand? So it's a discussion we need to have as a media in this country for people to have a better understanding, because as we have agreed here, the public have that mindset that the media owes them that responsibility, which is actually the duty of the media. Nobody is doubting that the media owes the public a responsibility. The second angle of it is that as you owe you responsibility, it costs money to be able to generate the content that you are expecting from us. The question down is, where do we get the money to generate the content that you are expecting from us? And I want everybody watching us this morning to begin to ask themselves this question. That all this private media, from newspapers to radio stations to TV stations, they say, as for me, my best station is City. My best TV station is ChannelOne. My best newspaper is Herald or the News Center. These are not state-owned media houses. But every day you want to hear from them or read them so that you get the information you want. But the question you should be asking yourself is, these things cost money. Financed? You are here. You pay electricity bill in this building. You are going to pay electricity bill at your transmitter station. And then you pay at City. The 3 places, electricity bill alone, if I'm not exaggerating, I'm not in this house, but let me say 20,000 each.
It's possible.
For a month, you may be spending like 60,000 for just electricity to power your machines. So
and the tariffs are going up.
And so society should begin to ask themselves. So all this private media that is scattered around, every day we expect them. And then when we want them to do something or our expectation is not met, we take them to the cleaners. We take them to the cleaners and say, the media is not doing enough. It's not doing this. The question is, can somebody who doesn't have money really generate a good content? Good content comes with money. I'll be telling people, when Alas comes out or any investigating, I'll let you write something. I said, do you know what they went through in order to get that investigative piece? Did you ask who financed the entire process for the person to get access to that information that you are happy about? But unfortunately, nobody asks those questions because they see us as a CSO. You are the one decided you'll be media. We didn't ask you to do it. So do your service. But please, that service costs a lot of money. And that is a discussion that we must have. And I have suggested, I have to say it here, that if the media breaks stories about corruption and the state saves money, I have suggested that there should be a fund in this country that if it is 2%, 3%, 5% of the total money saved, that will go into that fund. And says that those who are doing the investigation come and assess the funds and do more. I think it is fair. Because in Europe and elsewhere,
I like it.
When investigative institutions investigate corruption and they are able to succeed, almost all the money goes back to the institution, the FBI, the NCIS, and the rest. They keep the money so that they can do more investigations. The Airbus scandal, when you read it, they actually made over $4 billion for the settlement they did with the Airbus. And then they share the money among themselves so that they can do further investigations. Here, who is giving you any part of that money? So I have said, we are in an economy that is not helping us. If the state can say, media houses that to break corruption, a certain percentage of that money, if it's 1%, that is Herald who broke this story. It is the News Center that broke this story. Give them 1% of the total amount the state has saved from that money. And then the remaining 4% should be a national fund that any journalist interested in investigation should do. We are talking about Galamsey. I've suggested that we need a reporting fund. Galamsey is happening in faraway places from where many of us are. But you want us to go in there and report it. How do we go when we don't have money? But if the state has really put aside and said, out of the money we are using to fight the Galamsey, taking the security people around it, we have put maybe $1 million here as a reporting fund for media houses that want to do Galamsey reportage. Sitting for these 3 weeks that in ChannelOne you are doing, you would have said, we have a plan to focus on Galamsey for this 1 month. Probably this is how much it will cost us in airtime. Can the state even pay only half of it so that we can have money and do what we are doing.
Yeah.
No. So you see, most of the times we want the media to do a certain, but we've forgotten that the media in Ghana is very poor.
Yeah.
And they don't have the money. Yeah. So if we don't find a fair way of setting up certain funds that media can access funding to do certain work, then our expectations will always not be met. And I think that we have to take that as a nation.
Okay. Now let's continue along this trajectory and talk about the.
I wanted to say something.
Yes.
2 minutes.
With you can say what you want, but dovetail from there to the new electricity and water tariffs that are coming in and have been approved by PURC.
First of all, I don't know the reason behind it.
The reason?
Yeah.
Well, there was so let me just read the story and then you can come in.
Okay.
Yes. Right. So starting today, 1st October, Ghanaians will see an increase in electricity and water tariffs. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission announced on Saturday, that's September 28th, a 3.02% rise in electricity tariffs and a 1.86% increase in water tariffs for the third quarter of 2024. Now
the electricity is what, 3%?
3%, and then this one is almost 2%.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So I wanted to talk about the media thing quickly. You know, there's this the kind of environment we operate in, or the kind of country we have. There's this love and hate relationship for the media. Okay, so when you do a story that a certain segment of society, likes,
enjoys,
they you did well, your man's job, so keep it up and all that. And then the segment that doesn't like it, you can be sure they will come after you, call you names. You've gone for money from the other person to do this, to do that, to do that, to do that. Now, the same society will call your integrity, into question. Yeah? Every now and then. Okay? Now, tomorrow morning, do a story that the other group that hated the previous story that you did. And they say, you are the guy that they've always wanted. This society, journalism must be defined by you. And so that is why we love you. Okay? Then this new craze where a politician goes to talk somewhere, video, audio, everything quoted, verbatim. That guy wakes up in the morning and says, listen, I was misquoted by the media. Okay? And then, they go on, a certain tangent, rubbishing you all over the place. Listen, we can't continue like that. And the strange thing is this, when you even have your colleagues who had operated in the media space, the next morning when they become politicians, they join their colleagues who
colleague politicians.
Colleague politicians. And to abuse you properly because you have done a story that is against their political party. I have faced that many times. MPP, NDC, to a point where at the point in time, the Mines Committee of Parliament sat down and wrote a letter threatening me that they were going to, cite me for contempt of Parliament for reporting on the GENSA GMPC, that deal. Okay, I'm sure he's also been there. ChannelOne has been there many times. Many other journalists have been there. So today they love you, the next morning they don't. And it gets difficult when they feel that they should wish you away. But the collapse of media in Ghana, will see the kind of abuse that we have never expected before. Because even with the presence of the media, things are what they are. Okay?
Yeah.
But let's go back to the ECG matter. I think that, as you guys said, it's a quarterly kind of adjustment.
But based on exchange rate issues, inflation, and all of that.
Fuel, and all. Well,
and now, of course, Galamsey as well, when it comes to the water. Yeah.
Well, it's some people have heard the argument that it's not enough. Okay. And that it could be more based on whatever the things that you have listed. Okay, but if this is going to to improve upon the electricity delivery, I'm sure people will be happy by it. Because then the argument has been that we keep paying and paying and paying. I mean, since 2017, we've been paying, there's been an increment of, help me, Elvis.
Yeah.
There's been an increment, people mentioning about 100 and something percent. That
since when?
Since 2017.
Okay.
Okay, for both electricity and water.
Not be 100, about to be around 60, 70. But the highest increment was around 50%.
Okay.
That was the highest increment. The rest were like 2, 5%.
Okay.
And there were times too there was a little reduction. You know, when the government came, what they did was actually to reduce electricity prices.
Yeah.
And then later, then they increased. So the balancing effect should not be more than 60%.
Okay. But if this is going to improve upon the situation, okay, power supply, you know, water delivery, you know, I think that increased investment in the area that could pump water to various homes, people will be all for it. I mean, I'm particular about the, you know, the ECG place. I mean, the increment is coming with the changes that had happened there. I mean, the departure or the sacking of
Dubik
Mahama, and then the appointment.
I thought he resigned.
He didn't resign. He didn't resign. Take it from me. He didn't resign.
Well, officially, we know that he resigned.
Well, that is the official story. He didn't resign.
So we
he
go
was
with
sacked.
the official.
He was sacked. Quote me.
Don't we go with the official
He was
story?
sacked. He was sacked.
Why did you say he was sacked?
He was sacked. He was sacked. He was given a soft landing. He was sacked. For inefficiency.
No, but if you say he was for inefficiency.
Yeah, inefficiency played a key role in there. He was sacked. They gave him an option that, listen, I mean, to protect his record, resign.
No. Okay. Well, what we have is the official record.
Well, that is your, okay, go with official, but me, I'm
position.
going with behind the, you know,
all right.
what is behind the story.
You are at liberty to do that, but on the show, we'll go with the official record.
Well,
he's telling us to give a soft landing. I thought you asked him the source of his
information. So he's making an allegation. If you can tell us why you're saying those things that you're saying.
He had issues with a certain disconnection that took place in the IMF boss's residence. Okay, there's been issues about, you know, inefficiency as far as our institution is concerned. There's been issues about finances and many other things. Workers, his relationship with workers. Okay? His relationship with workers. When he comes to TV or radio and be talking, the real story is down there. It's not what it is. Go down there, you hear it. The issue about, you know, Haptel has come up quite strongly, to a point where even Haptel, initially we were told that the Haptel contract cost $25 million. Haptel is now coming to say that, listen, it's not $25 million, but that it was even $12 million. And even that one is still being utilized on the development of the app.
No, they said the limit set for the project is $25 million.
Okay.
But so far they have utilized $12 million out
so
of the 25.
that's actually what the story says
so
here on the Daily Guide.
The board said $25 million to do the upgrade of their system.
Which board?
The ECG board. That's
which of the boards?
According to
Elvis, allow me to
there was a board by Kelly Gajeku and there's a new board by Apenyuma.
No, according to the board that
guys, let me read the story. Let me read what Haptel says here regarding what you're saying. Haptel debunks false ECG contract claims. It's on page 6 of the Daily Guide. It says here, Haptel, an indigenous tech company, has clarified claims by some civil society organizations concerning its 5-year contract with the Electricity Company of Ghana. The company, in a statement signed by Cornelis Otu, head of legal and corporate affairs, debunked claims aimed at discrediting the work Haptel has done in the recent transformation and record-breaking achievements in ECG's revenue collection and commercial operations. It said that with the guidance of Haptel and other third-party service providers, ECG spent about 12 million of the 25 million cost limit to replace old and obsolete systems that were causing severe revenue losses and frequent downtimes. So that's the context of it. that there was a limit that was placed, and they spent about less than half of that.
I've had people in there saying that, listen, let's audit this whole contract. Okay, collections that had come in so far and how they've been disbursed. I've had people say that. I've had people also say that before Haptel came in, ECG had its own app that was operating nicely. And there was no issue whatsoever with it.
At which point was this?
At the point of that...
because ever since the ECG app came into existence, I have been using it. And I had challenges majorly till maybe early part or maybe like mid part, let me say from about April, May this year. I noticed that now my app was functioning beautifully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
but there was an app before the Haptel app.
Okay.
Yes. That's what I was talking about. So to get, for Haptel to get access to this app, they got some officials of ECG arrested to get the source code from them. And it is out of that source code, then, the Haptel app came on board. So a certain app was collapsed.
Which is the ECG app?
Yeah, ECG app. So there are two apps we're talking about. There was an existing one before the Haptel came on board and developed what we are currently using.
Okay.
So this is not the first app that we have, you know that.
Fair enough, but
no, that's the truth.
But fair enough, but for me, the efficiency of it and the functionality of it is what I'm looking at. If it's working well and it's working beautifully, is that not what we want?
You think that before, why? Even if the other one couldn't have been, properly polished up.
Anyway,
I mean, let me say this. I mean, I would get back to you. So for me, I think that if whatever increments there are, if it's going to improve upon our light situation, people will be for it. People will want to even pay more than that. Now, I hear Apenyomakin has started. That's a new board, eh?
That's the new board.
Yes, he started. Some reforms. He's pledged some reforms as in the at ECG, and so yesterday I read your story.
Yeah, that
about some of the things he intends doing there. If this is going to help, I mean, we'll all be for it. And then the tension between ECG and then PURC every now and then over the price waterfall mechanism, the tension between all the power, operative, particularly the IPPs. Today they've not been paid. The next day they are threatening to shut down and so on.
Yeah.
If this is going to raise revenue to sort them out, so that we can have some peace and concentrate on other things to do, I think that, that we'll all be for it. But the increment must come with some benefits, or the payments that we do.
We must see improved efficiency and all of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
The meters that are not working, if they could change them, give us very reliable meters and all that, because it was a meter situation that eventually got them out of office.
Elvis.
Oh yeah, as for tariff increment, I think we have agreed as a country that we want to adjust our tariff every quarter. So PURC had that responsibility. Every quarter they have to review all the factors in terms of pricing and determine either the price should either go down or it should go up. So it's a actual function of PURC that it just performed. And even the IPPs are complaining that the amount that has been approved is not enough, and therefore they think that it could have gone up. Those are issues that will come up. I think this ECG issue Larry raised, the truth is that there was an app running. There was an app running. But customers were complaining so much about
I was one of those who complained bitterly.
So there was this decision by ECG, okay, then can we do something about it? It was at that time, you remember that ECG had a problem with a breach of their system, that they said they were hacked or something.
That's not true.
As we heard,
I'll tell you what.
There are people who are facing investigation and prosecution for things that are happening in ECG. See, this country, and when we say something is for states, there's a lot of things that are happening. Yeah, the big may have its issues, but is it also true that there were people who were even able to generate quotes and sell electricity that doesn't even come to ECG? ECG staff who could generate quotes and sell electricity that the money doesn't even come to ECG. So there are issues with ECG.
Through the app.
The new MD might have found a way trying to solve it. People will not be happy. And I've always said this in this country that look, as long as somebody is benefiting from something and you are going to replace it, you have a problem. Because the person you are replacing is losing his entire revenue. Because that ECG app to somebody might be benefiting from it. The new one you are bringing, they are also not working for free. They are also going to be paid. They themselves have admitted that for every revenue that they collect, they are being paid 1.9% as collection fee to the app. So it's all largely about who is making money from the system. This country, what we have done is we have decided that we can't trust ourselves, because if you put Ghanaians in charge, one day people see that there's money to flow somewhere. There are some people who want to make money out of it. And then we think that solving that solution is rather to bring in what we call service providers. And that the service providers can do a better job, because for them, their earning is dependent on how much they are able to generate for the state. So service provider can generate better revenue for us. And then we've actually contract service providers in so many areas of public work. And this is just one of them. Because we don't trust ECG staff that they can run an app owned by ECG, and somebody will not infiltrate it to be making money. And therefore, we have to take it from there and give it to private people. And truth of the matter is that if there is improvement in the app, that is it. That is what every customer wants. But if there are issues also that probably the cost of it is too expensive, it's also a fair question people must ask. The fact that you are giving me a very good service, improved service, does not mean that if I have issues about the cost or how it was awarded, I shouldn't say it. So we should not be mixing the issues. If people are raising issues about we think the contract was not awarded according to the Public Procurement Act, we think it was not done the way it should be done, we think that the cost of this new project that the ECG is doing, some of us think that it's too expensive. People have legitimate rights to ask these questions. But you see, because state institutions have refused to apply the RTI Act by doing voluntary publications, when people give leak information out, it takes more precedence. See, it's a contract you have signed. Why is it that when we sign contract on behalf of the state, we cannot publish the contract on our website for people who want to read? Why do we sign contract in public institutions and then we are hiding the contracts? That alone creates the impression that there is something to be hidden. Because it is public money you are using. It's public money. It's not only ECG, I'm talking about general. Public institutions sign contracts and then nobody will see it. Until somebody leaks the contract, you don't know the contents of the contract. I think we have to go beyond that, because the RTI law says everything you do with state money, as long as it's not about security implications, publish it voluntarily. You don't need to wait for somebody to even come and ask you. But if you have refused to publish and people find it difficult to get it, and then they finally get it, they will raise questions about it. You understand? This deal you have signed with Haftel, if you know that this deal is a deal that is good, the service will improve and the cost is less or is value for money. I don't see why the document should not be in public for those who understand that system to also scrutinize and say it is good or bad. And I think that by this act of public institution, we are hurting private companies a lot. Because right now, I see ECG is public institution. People don't care about ECG. For them, they'll be there. But then let's focus on the private company. So you realize that there'll be so much attack on the private company. Probably they may not be doing anything. I'm not saying they are doing something or not, but I'm saying that probably, but because public attention will come, if you're not careful, the reputation of that private company get damaged to a certain point, and by the time the truth comes out, they may not even be able to get business elsewhere. And I think that the private companies that are doing business with government should begin to insist that, look, I don't want a situation where the contract we sign will be in secrecy, where tomorrow somebody will, I want contract assigned with the state to be made public, so that if people have issues, we can discuss it. But when you are hiding the contract and then people begin to raise issues, obviously, as a journalist, when I get that contract, I'll publish it because I'll also not understand. But assuming that you publish the contract and it is out there, and then you take them to explain why you think this contract is value for money. If I'm writing a story, I've gotten a better view of what I'm writing. So I think that this situation where public institutions use our money to sign contracts, and it becomes a national security secret until somebody leaks a copy to you, is the reason we'll be having all these problems.
All right.
I think it's just so many problems. I think this month, it just ended. They are changing all the Nuru meters, which are like over 1 million meters they are changing. There are a lot of reforms we need to do in ECG. Unfortunately, the PDS didn't go through because see, what we have is that
why did you
PDS. We had a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it's been very.
All that we are talking about is about. You see, problem we have in Ghana is that for ECG, for instance, government owes ECG 100%. So if there's any investment to make the asset efficient, it's government that must put money in there. The government will not put money in, and the service provider will be struggling. So if we want to go by private sector participation to improve, I think what they have done with Haptel, in actual fact, if you read the IMF bailout with Ghana, one of the conditions is that we have to bring in private sector participation into ECG to improve certain things. And one of the areas is revenue collection. And that is why this deal has come. So if something that we have signed IMF deal and it's a condition, and we are going ahead to implement it, I think that the board and ECG should have made this thing public for all this back and forth. If 3 weeks later we realize, oh, the Haptel deal is a good deal, imagine all the negative perception people would have had about them before we will come to that conclusion.
I think that.
Let's take a break. When we come back, you can wrap up your submission there. Yeah, so we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. It's still the news review segment right here on Breakfast Daily, and we're having conversations about the utility utility tariffs going up, both electricity and water by various percentages, and the possible causes of these increases that we are seeing, and various other conversations surrounding that is what we've been talking about. Larry, you wanted to make a submission?
Yeah, I think that one of the critical issues that Elvis raised was about contracts which are signed and that people, the public, most often don't know anything about it. And then you have to now go and be searching, through documents or talking to sources in there. And then eventually when it's brought out, then you discover that, oh, okay, this is the reason why it's being hidden all this while.
Yeah.
Now, what people don't know, they kind of always form a perception about it.
Exactly.
Okay, and it's easier in this society, it's easier to be attacking something you don't know, or it's easier to be attacking something that is hidden.
Yeah.
And that is what's happening with that's what happened with this SML thing as well.
Yes.
Okay, so the energy sector has become like, a cash cow or a gold mine for everybody who wants to operate there. You hear about family this, you hear about cousin that, you hear about this person, operating within the sector. And it's most often very untidy. Okay. Now, so one of the reforms that people would like to see under the revenue marking leadership, it's increased revenue.
Yeah.
Because with an increased revenue, all the power, the IPPs can be sorted out. And like I said, the noise will go down a bit. You can't be pumping money in there and you're not getting anything, back. And so that is one of the critical things. Then this exchange rate scandals, that it's always hovering around ECG. And then some of the banks that they deal with in terms of procurement here and there and so on. I mean, somebody would have to be giving us a better story from that area. And then the procurement challenges. Every now and then that comes up as far as ECG is concerned. And the 40 meters. So very often we hear that, oh, my meter,
it's not working.
Yeah, it's not working.
I've called ECG.
I've called ECG several times. And they are not responsive. And like I said, in this instance, what broke the camel's back is the IMF boss's meter not working. Okay, it's not reading. And they called ECG many times to come and change the 40 meter. And nobody was coming.
Really?
Exactly. But then they moved in to go and disconnect him. And then he started making calls. And the president was accosted in the US. Now listen, the guy has just been disconnected. The person who is supposed to be working on, these bailout packages for us, his house has been disconnected. And it goes in, and then, that it gave a clearer picture of the inefficiency that is within the ECG space and so on. And the guy had to be booted out eventually, So if Afenyowakin is promising reforms, this is a very critical, situation where people will call you and say that, listen, my meter is not reading. I don't want to sit down so that one day you come and slap me with an outrageous bill.
Yeah.
So come and change it. And they should have any institution like that. If it's a private sector, they will have, a meter dedicated for some of these things. So quickly when you apply for it, they move in, change it, and then you go away. But public sector, nobody cares. They are aware that at the end of the month, they are going to get their
but there was a time
cards anyway. No KPIs.
There was a time in 2017, I believe, when you call ECG, there was a fantastic response. There was a call center. They respond, and then they would ask you the pole number in front of your premises, and then they will dispatch people. Either they will tell you that we are aware of the problem and it's a team that's working on it, or we're going to dispatch people to that particular geolocation.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened with all of that.
No, they still do a lot. See, the problem with features is it's all about money.
Yeah.
They don't have the cash down to buy the meter ahead of time. Dubik has done a lot of transformation. It's unfortunate that something has led to its removal. So right now, what they have done is that they even don't want to supply the meter on fast track. So I don't know how that happened. But what they agreed was that once you apply for the service, immediately they forward it to a meter manufacturer that produces the meter, and then there's a contractor who will quickly then come and fix it. So that my meter problem, in fact, that's the new thing they actually started. So I don't know why this IMF thing happened. What they realized that if they ask people to pay and they will pay, then replace the meter should not be the issue because the person has already pre-financed the work you are coming to do. Yeah. So that's the new thing they have actually started, that once you pay and they have the receipt that you have paid, quickly, they are using contractors now. They actually moved away from their own staff.
You recall there was an incident where a Chinese company was busted for manufacturing meters in Ghana.
Yeah, the problem is that...
Why did we get to that?
No, the problem is that I'm told that they were lost. I'm told that they arrested people with meters. When they took them to court, I was shocked. They said the court said, what Ghana law prescribed that somebody cannot hold a meter in Ghana?
Hold on a second.
Which law of Ghana prevents anybody?
You
can't have a lot of meters
in your possession.
So they told the court that there's no law in Ghana that says that an individual cannot be holding so many meters in his possession. If they took the case, because they lost the case because they just said, give me the specific law that says somebody is banned from holding plenty meters.
Did ECG go on appeal?
Why are they going to court? There's no law. So there are issues we have to deal with. Problem is that in Accra West, they found over 20,000 meters which are not in ECG system. Do you know how people are doing? They go to Togo.
Over 20,000?
20,000 meters in Accra. Just Accra East alone. Just Accra East, they found over 20,000 meters that are not on ECG. They are meters, so if you pass, they think that, that meter is working. ECG doesn't know that there's a meter in that house because that meter is from Togo. And they will just come and fix it, and while you are passing by, you think that there's a meter. 10 years, the person is not paying any bill. Accra East, what they did
that used to have people go around
to check. Yes, so what they did that exercise in Accra East, these are all the reforms, some of the reforms Dubik brought. So they decided to do a meter audit nationwide. And then they tell you the number of meters that are there that do not even connect to anything. You will be shocked because people bring it from Togo and they come and fix it for people, collect money and they go. ECG worker will pass the toll. This is a prepaid meter, so the person is buying credit. It's prepaid, so you are not bringing a bill. Yeah. But it's not a prepaid on ECG system. It's a prepaid that the person just put there to confuse you.
Their meters used to be customized.
Okay.
Electricity Company of Ghana.
Now they look at the new ones that come, the prepaid meters. So there's a whole issue. And then the second issue they had was politicians in election years doing what we call SHEP. SHEP is not done by ECG. SHEP is done by the Ministry of Energy. Rural Self-Help Electrification Project. Then the politician will go and collect the meters from Energy Ministry and go into their villages so that people will have light and vote for them. All those meters, because it didn't go through ECG, but that went through energy ministry, they are all in the rural areas, and the people are not on ECG system paying any money to ECG. So Dubik now said, no, we can't allow this system to go. We
need to streamline.
Now what we'll do is we will procure the meters and put it on a system before you energy minister can give it to the politicians to go out there and install. So you see, he came to actually do a lot of trying to fix
because from everything I know, he did a lot of reforms.
And unfortunately, it does leadership. Yeah. Maybe they don't even want to discourage the IMF boss house. He's not even aware. But because he gave the directive that so long as somebody is owing disconnect, he has to take the bullet. Yeah. So you see, ECG, I tell you, there are a lot of issues in ECG. If you want to fix it, you will find a lot of challenges. So if the court says there's no law that says that somebody cannot be in possession of meter in Ghana, and they quote the specific law, then he will accept the case. Yeah. Give him his fellow that if you are not working with ECG or you are not with ECG, you cannot be in possession of meters. Meanwhile, these are the people who were smuggling the meters into the country. They were the ones who were smuggling the meters to sell to people.
Thank you. Let's make progress.